everybody, and welcome back to Monifactory. Might have done some work off camera. Basically, all I've done is I've moved like my stuff around a little bit, and I've planned out the base to build later. Although I did ignore that for now. Difference is that like I have like a bender wall with 15 bending machines going in parallel here, but right now I'm just putting my random machines on it because we also have this wall, and once we get AE2 set up, this will be different. But for now, we can leave it as is. My plan is to get the HP circuit minimum because I'm trying to race towards this circuit because this is what it says to automate. So I'm gonna like make a room to automate that kind of circuit and the next tier MV if I can get that, so that I'm not like crafting these, if that makes sense. Today's goal: rush the HV circuit. And to explain a little bit of like what's in here is this could have been an episode on its own. I'll be honest, when I started this project I thought it was going to be simple, but no. Let me just run you through it. First of all, over here we have our pulsating prediction matrix. This is an alloy smelt between clay and pulsating dust. Clay is generated in this chemical reactor with dust, which is cobblestone forge hammer, forge hammer, forge hammer into, and then you react it with water to get clay. That's the clay. Pulsating dust is resonant clathrite here, which is a chemical reactor with resonant ender and quartz. Resonant ender, I'm extracting ender pearls. That's why over here I am doing 4 endermen instead of 1, because I'm extracting the ender pearls and getting a stockpile. And then over here, in order to get the quartz, we're electrolyzing glass. Setup is working fine. Some of these don't have I don't have the 3 boss, I don't have the wither skeleton, and I don't have the thermal elemental. So like these 3 I haven't, or these 5 I haven't set up yet, but the rest of them are set up and they're producing resources such as iron, diamond, coal, gold, redstone, glowstone, and probably the most important, aluminum. So I'm probably still going to set up the electrolyzing clay recipe on passive, mostly because I do want the lithium, silicon, and sodium, and this aluminum isn't too frequent with only one of these. So yeah, I'm generating all this, and the reason over here I have 6 shulkers is because they're producing diamonds, and that's what this is. These are numismatic dynamos. These are all extracting power, but they're also inputting diamond, because they are fed off diamond, and when augmented, these can make up to 6,250 RF per tick, which is perfect. All right, coming in here is our polyethylene setup you just watched build. Now I was going to explain this setup with a diagram, graphics, but yeah, that exploded. Didn't save properly. I'm just gonna explain it normally. Let's start from the end. Actually, we're making polyethylene. Polyethylene is oxygen and ethylene. We are making oxygen through silicon dioxide dust electrolysis. This gives us silicon dust and the oxygen. Silicon dioxide's from electrolyzing sand, and we have 2 forge hammers and a cobble gen to make the sand. And ethylene, the other thing for polyethylene, the much more important thing actually, is a mix of sulfuric acid and ethanol. Ethanol is a distilled biomass, which is a brewed version of biochaff with water. Biochaff is macerated plant balls. Plant balls are compressed. Plant balls are supposed to be compressed sugarcane, like this recipe. So that all comes up to make ethanol. And the other thing we're mixing it with is sulfuric acid, which we're making over here in a chemical reactor. It's oxygen, which I already showed, and hydrogen sulfide, which is another chemical reactor with hydrogen and sulfur dust, which sulfur dust we're just inputting manually, but we are making it over in the fossil neural networks over here. So it is passive. Sodium we make, I think this is a zero sum are like a equal thing, because this is how we're making hydrogen, is sodium and water. It's one sodium that produces 3 sodium hydroxide and hydrogen, and then you can electrolyze that 3 of the dust back into a sodium, hydrogen, and oxygen. So I think this is zero sum. So we're gonna passive oxygen hydrogen that way over here eventually, but for now we just have this little setup, and I have a big old backlog of oxygen here. And yeah, that's the whole setup. It's not fully set up, and honestly it's going to be torn down anyways. I'm not going to pretty it up right now. Not sure if there's like a better recipe for polyethylene we can use. Well, I mean, we have like, I have like 64 buckets of polyethylene ready, and yeah, 32 buckets of ethylene. It's enough for now, enough to get started on. First thing we need to do to upgrade our processing is the advanced assembler. We can grab the assembler there now, and we can just place it right there. That is that done. Now, the next 2 things we need to update. We need to make this blast furnace run at at HV. So we're going to be replacing these energy hatches with MV energy hatches, and this with a 4 amp energy converter for MV. With the chip done, we can throw all this in here, and this crafted up the MV energy hatch. There's the second one. We just need another MV converter like this. We put one of you in there. There should be 10 seconds. Okay. If that's a problem. Probably don't even need the wires. What am I doing wrong? I'm really confused. I don't know. I'm gonna finish this off camera. I've solved it. I had 2 1 amps. This, I think each of these hatches take 2 amps. Yeah, that was my issue. But it is working now, and power's keeping up. With the new blast furnace running at HV, you can come over here to the mixer, and the next thing we need to make is Canthal coil. Each of these, and I need 16, 2 stacks of Canthal, which means that I need to craft a lot of this, which is chromium, aluminum, and iron on circuit 1. Like that. And then we should be able to just cook that. Yeah, 45 seconds per. I'm gonna craft up some more EBFs, I think. Give 4 more. Oh, we have our first Canthal. I want to collect all my rewards. Not as much as I thought, actually. I'm gonna go get some more of those EBFs ready, and I'll be back. With the Canthal done, built up this over here, just 4 EBFs in one structure. I believe this is the most you can get. 2 MV energy hatches each, so these are all running at HV. And I have them all processing Canthal. Input chest and output chest. Simple setup. What we can do is place the coil, and now this has 900 more Kelvin in its heat capacity. And if we check the quest book, that will allow us to have silicon, which we can make with silicon dioxide, carbon, silicon dioxide. Put these in. Keeping up, it should give us a silicon ingot. Perfect. And that will allow us to make transistors, which are needed in the top tier LV circuit, top tier MV circuit, the next HV circuit. But yeah, these are very important. Let's keep processing that Canthal. And with that, we can move on to the next thing. Get started in first proper HV stuff. We need stainless steel, our primary material for HV, the blast furnace recipe, and there's a mixing recipe with iron, nickel, manganese, and chromium. Now the iron, nickel, and chromium we have. Manganese we don't have any of. I believe the best way for us to get it right now is electrolyzing tantalate, pyrolusite, and spessartine. None of which we have. I mean, we can craft. Looks like I just cook and then crush. With the manganese, we can do a circuit 1 mixer recipe. This is about to do Imbar. Oh, it's circuit 3. I see. Well, we can mix this in after anyways. There's our stainless steel. been doing some work on the circuit stuff. As you can see, I have my recipe up for 8 of these. And a lot of it is stuff we already had. Like this tier of LV circuit we've had. Transistor I did make, but it is just this recipe and an assembler. Polyethylene, thin wire, silicon plate. Not that interesting. And the chips we had, like everything else we had. We didn't have, come over to the circuit assembler, we didn't have this good integrated circuit, which is phenolic printed circuit board. The second to last tier of LV circuit, diodes, resistors, sorry, then diodes, electrum wire, and silver bolts. Am I missing something? Is that gold? It is gold, not electrum. That, right, okay. This should make up the second to last tier of MV circuit. Quest. And that is everything unlocked to actually get this HV circuit. And the reason I'm making 8 is because I want quite a few. Because, first of all, we can make the second tier of HV circuits pretty much immediately by making these capacitors, aluminum foil, thin polyethylene. And we can make this now. Why can't we make the second tier immediately? Oh, because it requires an MV circuit assembler. Right. Okay. With this done, we need the MV circuit, the 2 chips, the capacitor, electrum wire, and the annealed copper bolt. And that should be the HV circuit. Let's go. Now, with these circuits, first thing we want to make is the MV circuit assembler. With that, we can craft the MV assembler, creative assembler, circuit assembler, not creative, oh my god. Which we can come down here and just put on our MV wall here. And what this will do is allow us to, first of all, now we can craft these new HV circuits. So we've already unlocked the second recipe. More importantly, once we get the plastic substrate done and the capacitors and inductors, which the capacitors and inductors we already need for the second HV circuits anyways, that will allow us to make the final MV and LV circuits, which, as I've said before, if we go into the progression, it does say, yeah, absolutely automate the production of these circuits, keep a stockpile automatically crafted. You don't have to wait around for them or bloat your crafting orders, making them on demand through AE. And it says the same thing about the MV, yeah. There won't be any better LV. Yeah, as you can see, get a better recipe in EV, in a clean room, but an EV circuit assembler is going to require IV circuits, which, I mean, actually doesn't look that bad. Doesn't look that bad. I guess I can rush it. I don't know if I'd want to. All right, yeah, I've decided. Next thing we're going to do, I want to set up passive circuit automation for sure. Alright, coming in here again, I've gathered up a ton of materials and I've set up passive circuits, and I have these like resource bins over here with what I need to input. But once we get AE2 set up, a lot of this I think I'm just going to export into here, and I'm going to downgrade them so it doesn't steal all of my resources. But yeah, I'm passiving MB circuits and LV circuits, and I might set up HV later when I get a good enough recipe and I decide to, but that's if I care to. Over here, I've moved my paralyzed oven. I'll probably set that up properly next episode. And I've started putting super tanks everywhere, like this diluted acid with voiding on, so that I'm storing 4,000 buckets. But anything past that, we can just get rid of. Ethylene for storing. I don't want to store a lot of this as well. It's useful. Ethylene's more useful as just a product in like everything. A very important product, including in iron 3 chloride, I believe. No, not iron 3 chloride, polyvinyl chloride. This is ethylene and chlorine make vinyl chloride. A lot of this setup needs to be changed once we get AE2 set up and I can just import, because these lasers are being very annoying. Also over here, I've set up the eyes properly, and I'll set this up later. Really, the most important part that I want to do to round off this episode is the next tier circuit. I know we just got HP, but getting an EV circuit is actually incredibly easy. The only thing of these that we didn't have access to before was the circuit. And I guess these diodes, but we need to make this anyways. But yeah, it's gallium arsenide, polyethylene, which we made, and platinum wire. Platinum, funnily enough, we are actually making over here in the setup. I forget what makes it. Might have been gas? Slimes. Slimes make 3 nuggets. So that's one of my slime outputs. I figured platinum would be important later, and lo and behold, it is. But yeah, over here is where we're going to set up the clean room, which is important for the next tier of circuit, because clean room allows us to make, I believe most of the new circuit recipes are going to require the clean room. So we're probably going to move this to a more central location later, and we're probably going to build a lot more. And it needs passive power to keep itself clean. If we come over here, I have made up the plasticrete and clean room glass, and I've made up the stuff for, should be 8 filter casings. Okay, I did not make up enough, mostly because of these filters. Grab the diode, and with that, clean room, there we go. And with that, this should be fully formed. And we connect the power. Running? Yeah. Okay. It's gonna take a little bit. Yeah, it's running. To explain how this is built real quick while it's waiting. Bunch of plasticrete. Only a certain percent can be clean room glass or anything but plasticrete. To get power in, first of all, we're using an LV energy hatch down there, a spare one I had from the EBFs. Get power in behind this, there's a diode. It allows up to 16 amps to enter through the wall, and pretty much the entire base, the entirety of this build needs to be plasticrete, except for the top, where everything but the outer border be filter casing, and directly in the middle needs to be the clean room controller. So yeah, pick up all the items we need, and we can put the tin in. And for the EV circuit and the tin recipe, not the soldering alloy, we need circuit board, HP circuit, SMD diode, RAM chip, electrum wire, and vibrant alloy bolt. And that's it. The second EV circuit, or the first EV circuit, sorry. This is probably going to be our last bit of progression for a little bit, I'm gonna be honest. I think next episode is going to be a lot of catch up. Yeah, I think the theme of next episode, and maybe the one after that, depending on how much I get done, is we need to set up actual proper infrastructure. What I have now is running back and forth between a lot of this. So next episode is going to be setting up auto crafting, probably passive building blocks too. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a like, subscribe, comment what you thought about the episode, and I will see you in the next episode of Monifactory.